It's the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Tune in. Tune in. Tune in. Tune in.
I think it's significant. Something that you mentioned just a few minutes ago is just that, you know, you saw this big developer in Houston come in and you saw what was happening very close by and you instantly thought, we need to be a part of this,
Mhm.
and I think your whole plan is great because not only are you building up the community, but you're getting professionals, black professionals who were out in the suburbs somewhere to come back to the community. And I think in that regard, everybody benefits.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it has to be. Like I said, in these neighborhoods that we often don't like to see anything happen to, we want to kind of preserve the low income families that are there. And we want to do low income housing to protect them. We often forget that those used to be thriving neighborhoods. Like before desegregation, the doctors, the lawyers, the business owners that own the movie theater, the grocery store, the cleaners, everything all lived in this same community. But now we want to focus on it being low income, and that it really shouldn't be that way. We need the engineers and doctors, the lawyers, the business owners, entrepreneurs back in that community, all participating, all being a part of that community. That's the only way you're going to get grocery stores back. That's the only way you're going to get any type of business back. Nothing will be supported with an entire community that's a low income demographic. You need people with disposable income for all of that stuff to be revitalized. And so that's been my focus. And what better way to do that than to do it in a neighborhood that's already got a big catalyst for economic development by some big development that's coming that we don't have control over. So the least we can do is participate and have the value appreciation that goes around it. Like, usually the neighborhood's still too rough for us. We're still concerned about the crime rate. Meanwhile, somebody else is walking their dog and riding their bike, right?
Yep.
And the people that are walking their dogs and riding their bikes are getting $100,000, $200,000 in value appreciation in their home, which directly correlates to their net worth. So when we talk about the net worth of the average black household being $17,000 and possibly going to zero by what they said 2055, the way to reverse that trend is for more of us to buy in our own neighborhoods that are being redeveloped instead of letting gentrification happen. Imagine the family the young couple that's saying, well, I'm gonna move to the suburbs right now because when I have kids, I want my kids to be in a good school district. Imagine if that same couple bought in this neighborhood and had $300,000 in equity in their home by the time their kids were 18, and they could pay for their kids to go whatever school they wanted to go to out of the equity in the home. Completely different ballgame, right? So we just have to start thinking differently about a lot of these things.
Definitely, definitely. So can you talk more about the real estate crowd fund? And that was a pretty successful venture. I don't think we've had a guest who's done something of that at that scale. So can you talk more about that?
Yeah, so like I said, outside of the new construction where I'm bringing higher incomes back in, I always want to make sure I offset that with making sure that I protect the bleed rate or the rate of people that are getting pushed out of these communities. So the only way that you can protect existing residents that are tenants is to own the real estate. You can ask the government to do rent caps and all this other kind of stuff. But as politicians change, those laws change. So the only way you really can control the rents is to own the real estate. So one of my initiatives was buying rental portfolios. So I was able to buy a rental portfolio with seller financing, like I told you about earlier. But some of the tenants had been there like 20 years, long-term stable tenants. And the portfolio was 18 houses, and it came with 2 commercial buildings as well, but the commercial buildings were vacant. And this is literally even closer to the development project. It's like zero point 0.6 miles away from the development project. So it's a street farther, it's a street closer to it from where my new construction is. So okay, this is another good play to make. Buy this rental portfolio, let all the tenants know they will not be displaced. We're going to keep their rents the same, and I'm going to make my return on the investment greater by bringing the 2 commercial buildings back to life, right? So the sellers of that property, like I said, own the property free and clear. It had been passed down to them. Um, and I was able to negotiate seller financing with them with 50% down. And it was a $1.2 million acquisition. So I had to bring like 600 grand to the table for closing. And but then I also negotiated a payoff in 2 years for the other half, but no loan payments in between. So pay half now, pay half in 2 years. So with that, I was able to say, hey, it's generating over 10 grand a month right now in rents. So this is a great opportunity for me to do a crowdfund because I can let everybody collectively invest with me instead of me going to one or two wealthy individuals as private lenders. I wanted to create a new blueprint and say, hey, we don't have to wait for LeBron or Oprah or be mad at Denzel because he's not buying up the hood. We can collectively do these things on our own. So that was the model, and it worked. I started the crowdfund in like November 2019, and by the summer of 2020, I had maxed out what the SEC regulation was $1,070,000. So that gave me enough to replenish the cost of the acquisition and put money into renovating the commercial buildings and bring them back online. And so I've turned the property around. I mean, we've done a lot of aesthetic upgrades like repaving, like landscaping, painting, doing deferred maintenance repairs on the inside of the houses, like toilets, floorboards, kitchens, plumbing, all that kind of stuff. And then really focus on generating a lot of revenue off of the vacant commercial and bringing those back online. So it's worked really well. I was able to actually pay out distributions to investors already at the end of last year. It's created a new blueprint for what's possible in our communities.
Definitely, man. That sounds like a whole lot of work that paid off. Like, how did it feel? Just like when you reached the goal, when you capped out, and then also when you were able to make that first distribution. What did that feel like? What was going through your head during those times?
I mean, it's a sense of accomplishment, but it's just one of those things where it's like you're so focused on making it successful, and you got so much weight on your shoulders to get it done that when it finally happens, it's almost like you're past the euphoria of celebration. You're just like happy that it happened, and you're like, okay, now let's keep going. That's really how it's been for me. But like this project has gotten a lot of attention. It's been on the front page of the Houston Chronicle. It's been on the front of the business section of the Chronicle. It's been on the front of the real estate section of the Chronicle. So it's setting a blueprint and a real example for what can be done all over the country. So that's when I start seeing it being replicated, I think I'll be more excited than just what I was able to accomplish on my own.
Are you looking for a community of like-minded individuals and access to experts in real estate?
Yeah.
Are you interested in real estate but need more support and guidance?
You know who it is?
The Black Real Estate Dialogue presents the Real Estate Investing Community. No matter how much or how little real estate experience you have, we've created a community for you because your perspective is important. All right, tell me, where's the #1 place where you can do Q&A with experienced guest speakers 2 times per month? How about unlimited access to past guest speakers' recordings? What about a private Slack channel to engage in daily discussion with everybody in the community to share resources and support each other? Head on over to blackrealestatedialogue.com. That's blackrealestatedialogue.com. It's the real estate investing community presented by the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Come join us today.
Talk to us about your first build.
The first build?
Yeah.
So, interesting story. So I had been driving. So I bought a house at 5146 Higgins Street. Like this house had, I knew it had some roofing issues. Kind of find out it had a fire. I knew it had some termite issues. I thought it was just in one area of the living room. Come to find out, it was the entire whole front of the house had been eaten. In fact, the 2x4s, when we took the sheetrock down, you could look and you would see the 2x4 and it looked like it was regular, and you grab it and it would literally had the consistency of toilet tissue, like, because the termites had eaten the entire interior of the board. The only thing that was left was the exterior. So like literally there were hollow 2x4s in the wall. It was the craziest thing ever. And so, termites, fire damage, I had a janky contractor. Then on top of that, I had I don't like to label people negatively. So it was a brother who had some substance abuse issues and that was around that area. And the house had aluminum siding. So I'd come one day and the whole house, everything right. I come back the next day, half of my siding going on the back. You know, I come with the next day, all that siding going on the back, because he literally taking my siding off my house and go and sell it, you know, to get another hit. And so, man, I just had so many issues with that house that after that deal, I said, you know what? I could literally build a house. Building is easier than this, primarily because with building, there's no what I call gotchas. You know, like I wasn't gonna have any termite issues like that because I already know I got to replace everything. Everything is brand new. So I put a project together, and this project was in the hood. So after that, that's what made me want to go to the nicer neighborhood, because I don't want to deal with dudes stealing my material. I don't want to deal with this. I'm gonna go over here to where, you know, I'm not in an area that's a little bit better. And so it was a Victorian styled house. It was actually a fairly ambitious project. It was 14 houses that this project was slated for. And what happened, so I'm driving for dollars, driving around looking. I see this sign. I call a guy says, hey, you know, I'll meet you out there. And literally, I'll never forget, he had a black GMC Envoy. And I'm a big journal note-taking person. And so I always would keep a leather journal with me. In fact, and so this conversation happened in 2005. I still have the notes from that conversation that we had. So for 2 hours, like I had never built anything. All I'd done is volunteered and help my sister build her habitat home. But I have a thing of this little saying that when I used to do a lot of public speaking, I used to get this acronym called SDSUTN. SDSUTN. It stands for sit down, shut up, and take notes. And that is my philosophy. When I get around people that have my answer or more information than what I have, or maybe not more information, but they just have a different set of information I have, then that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna shut up and take notes versus trying to help them understand how much I know. And so gentleman's name was Ron. And literally I got about, this was pre-COVID, so I was maybe a good foot from his nose, and we were just in his truck. And I just asked open-ended questions. Okay, we got a piece of dirt. What's the first thing I do? He'd explain. Okay, Nick, well, how do I do that? Who do I find? And literally this gentleman gave me a whole blueprint. He gave me a real estate development and home building course in a 2-hour time frame. Old Jewish guy and this little black kid from the ward. And literally I took I think it was 4.5 pages of notes in 2.5 hours. I took that information, I locked up a $750,000 piece of land that had 14 lots already subdivided. All I had to do was design the plant houses and get them and get them built, or design the houses, get them approved, and then get them financed and constructed. And so that was the first project. I ultimately built 2 of those houses. At the time, it was just me and my wife. I hadn't set up a partnership, didn't have financial partners and things of that nature, which led into some other lessons. But ultimately, I built 2 of those 14 houses, had to get rid of the other 12, but there was our first build.
Wow. I like a lot about what you just shared, but first I would say the fact that you recognize what was going on. You recognize that you were talking to somebody who had information that could change your life, and you soaked it all in. Not only did you soak it in, but you used it to take action, and I don't want people to miss that, because a lot of times, we might, we want to learn about a particular aspect of something, just anything in life. And sometimes people feel like I have to show this person that I know something. But in fact, if you just listen, most times it's better to just listen and speak less. And you just get the exact piece of information.
We already know what we know. You know what I mean? So you can't learn anything. It's the reason why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. But, my premise is when I'm around people that have, again, they got the knowledge that I need. I'm going to not only take the information, but the other part that I think you're driving home is actually do something with it. I know you get it all the time. Any of us that are out here moving around, we get, hey, I need a mentor. I need a coach. And what I tell people is, I don't think, you see right now in what I call guru world with, social media and stuff like that. So everyone's a guru or a mentor. Hey, we all mentor and do certain things. And one of the things I learned early on when I first came into the knowledge of what a mentor truly is and how the mentor-mentee relationship works, what most of us think is a mentor is a person who teaches us something. That's only part of it. The person isn't I'm only your mentor if I give you information and you do what I give you. You actually execute it.
Hi everyone, Sam here from the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Make sure to hit that notification bell and that subscribe button and to visit us at blackrealestatedialogue.com.